Take a breath, step outside.
Welcome to Indigenous Ways this evening. Thank you all for being here. We are going to start the evening, as always, to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Turtle Island and pay respect to their elders, past and present. We always do that wherever we go. It's so important that we take this time to acknowledge traditional owners and ancestors of these lands we reside on here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We have 19 pueblos all around us, and wherever you're beaming up in from, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and ancestors of the lands you are at, so we could all be here today. Indigenous Ways is dedicated to bridging cultural exchange with people globally, and this is a fabulous platform to do that. No parking, no travel, no planes. Just turn on your Zoom and click in. So that's one big positive here. This evening, we are so blessed to have the evening to spend with Maura Garcia, who is a multi-dimensional dancer, forward thinker, leader, innovator, creator of her own creator given gifts. And for that, we pay much respect to Maura. Maura, we'd like to get started this evening. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. Thank you for having me here.
You're very welcome. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about you this evening, and we'd like to hear about you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Nui dai da wudong anegi lohi digi yawi chitalagi naole chimada mesquite naole galshkishki. My name is Maura in English, Maura in Spanish, Nui dai in Cherokee, Anigi Lohi clan. I am Cherokee, non-enrolled, and I am Madam Mesquite, and originally from Occoneechee Saponi homelands, which they call Orange County, North Carolina now. And my tribal homelands are in the eastern part of North Carolina and western part of North Carolina, and I grew up in the middle. And right now I am standing here on the Creek Res, Muskogee Creek Res in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which also lies in traditional homelands of Osage people. I'm a dancer and a choreographer. And you know what? I've completely forgotten what the rest of the question was. So hopefully that's a good for the first start.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, there are so many questions we have for you this evening, so let's just kind of get started. The first thing is, being that you come from all these different cultures, that is so rich, that is so beautiful, and there's so much wealth in cultural knowledge. So grateful to know that about you. What I'm interested in knowing is, how did you get into dance?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I see all my family members are now logging on. Hello, family members. um, yeah, so actually, so I always, when I do these interviews, and I'm sure you feel maybe like this too, it feels strange that you're interviewing me. I think you should be interviewing about 50 people, right? Because it's never just me or you, it's all these other people. And so it's my father's actually watching right now. So I believe he was the one that took me to my first dance class. So I was, lucky that my parents were in a position that they could take me to a dance class. Because I know, like my mother, for example, she always wanted to dance. She danced at home. She always wanted to dance on stage, but the idea of classes, that wasn't possible. There's no money for that. So he took me to my first dance class, and the way he tells it is that he asked me if I wanted to stay, and I said yes. And I think I was maybe 3 or 4. I mean, I don't remember. I don't remember not dancing. So, when you say, when did you start dancing? I don't remember not dancing, and so when I was young, I was trained at Durham Arts Council, and dance that happens in studios, because there's dance that doesn't happen in studios. I think I took something like creative movement when I was very, very little. And then I studied under Sadia Shakur, who did West African djembe dance. A lot of that came from tribal people in Mali and Guinea. So I grew up understanding and learning about those dance traditions. I took modern dance from Rebecca Lawson, ballet, but then I also talk about, I also grew up going to powwows. So seeing in North Carolina, just seeing different powwow styles. I never was brought into the circle, but, dance at intertribals. And also I just like to talk about the dance that just goes on in the family as well. I remember my grandma dancing in the kitchen. I remember dancing with my parents, in the living room, all of us dancing just to music. So when people say, how did you get started in dance? There isn't a time when I don't remember not dancing. And, now I'm a shell shaker. So I do our traditional stomp dance as well. For Cherokee people, for most Southeastern people, that's our traditional dance form. And so I started early, and I've had some breaks due to, life situations, but I've just always kept on.
So that's beautiful. There's a lot of influence I see from all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So did you, when a person is young, all of us at one point in time, we get to be young, really young, as in high school young, and trying to figure out what we're going to do when we grow up. Did you always know that this was the path you were going to pursue, or did you have like a backup? Like some people say, I want to be a dancer, but if that doesn't work, I want to be a nurse because I can get a job anywhere. Did any of that cross your mind?
Yes. And once again, I'm also laughing because, when your family's on the line, they're probably just going like this, but, so actually, no, I didn't, as with a lot of people, the idea that you can have dance as a career, is not, it's hard to conceive, right? You think maybe you've had a chance to see some. I grew up, I was very lucky to see lots of professional dance, but still the path to get there, unless you're in certain places, is not always clear. And so I danced, but I had a lot of insecurity, and I think all people that create, we have lots of insecurity. I still have insecurity, but I just never thought I was good enough. So the idea, I thought about it, and then I was like, oh, but I'm not good enough. I actually have a background in visual arts too, and so my first thought was that I was going to be a visual artist.
Wow.
But I don't like sitting down for very long, so that, I say my backup plan is that I'm going to run a cleaning business, which I've done. I've run a cleaning business,
Mm-hmm.
But now, more recently, I was just speaking with you earlier that I also speak Spanish. My backup plans have tended to, how can I make sure that bills are paid in between gigs if the gigs aren't coming? So they've been kind of supplemental plans, if that makes sense.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think as artists, there's always got to be a backup plan in place, unless, as you said, we know people in places, and
Mm-hmm.
that's for some people that's already just set up. It's just a matter of staying enthusiastic about it. Which brings me to the next question. Thank you for that. How has COVID affected your career? Did it just stop it overnight, or have you been able to make modifications, or can you talk about that?
Yes. Oh, good. There you are. Sorry, my computer was trying to update, and I lost your picture there for a second. um, well, when COVID hit, I think we were all thinking it was only going to last, maybe a few months. Even I thought, oh, okay, we're going to make it through this, and hopefully people, will be well. And so at the beginning, things were kind of on hold, but very soon cancellations came. So I think this is for a lot of people in performing arts, we had cancellations, so just outright loss of work. We had postponing, which an organization, they might still have the funding, but it's on hold. And so, for example, those engagements, they still haven't happened yet. And they have other people postponed behind me. So everybody's kind of still on hold. And then there's a lot of work that happens in conversation, right? That there's no contract, there's a possibility, and it probably will happen. And those things disappeared. So, I'm very fortunate that I have beautiful people. I always say, even if all my family died, I would still have people that I could just show up at their house and be like, I have nowhere to stay, at 3 a.m. in the morning, and they would welcome me in. But I actually I had my own place where I was living. I had to leave that place because I didn't know if I was going to be able to pay rent. I ended up moving back home. But I was also fortunate to get some of those relief grants. So, I've been able to kind of plug in things, got some relief grants, got some requests for recorded work. And I think that was one of the biggest kind of switches and changes that happened. I'm a Native Launchpad artist, which is a program through Western Arts Alliance, and they provide this fellowship, they provide this funding for Native artists. So you can't use the money to like pay your bills, but you can use the money to further your career. Prior to COVID, I was going to use that money to go to different conferences for networking and showcasing. When COVID hit, and this was kind of at the suggestion of my partner, actually, I said, okay, you know what? Can I use this to get a computer? Can I use this to get a phone that I can record myself? And so that actually ended up being a wonderful investment.
Yes.
Also, if there's any Native performing artist, the application is May 4th, Western Arts Alliance Native Launchpad Program. So with that funding, I bought equipment that I could record myself. And that, I started sharing on social media, just clips and clips and clips. And just kind of out of the sky, people said, oh, I see you're doing a lot of video stuff. Do you have something we can use for our virtual convening? Can we screen your work? So it's a blessing. I know that everybody's career and life has not been like this at all. And so with the grants combined with me having this fellowship to purchase equipment, combined with, just saying, okay, I guess I'm doing recorded work now, and understanding that is not the same as live performance and it has to be different. I'm still working. So I am very, 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 very grateful, because I know some people, they've had to just change and switch and, leave this behind for the moment.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things popped into my mind as you were speaking that relates to this. And one is the fact that you've always had an interest in visual arts.
Mm-hmm.
So how beautiful to have a gift through WA to purchase equipment to actually learn technology and learn about lighting and gels and backgrounds and setting up the ambiance and around your dance. I just have all these visions of you dancing in your outfits with candles going and mirrors and kind of, I could see a bunch of stuff happening right now.
I like that.
Yeah, I could see stuff happening. I mean, depending on what kind of studios or where you want to do it, at a waterfall or all this kind of stuff. And with the CDC guidelines now, if we've been vaccinated, we can actually go out without a mask with distance from people. So that kind of opens things up to do some visual dance stuff out in nature, which I understand you're interested in, that kind of visual aid to give accent to your dance.
Yeah. Even though I might say I'm giving, hopefully, accent to the outside, but
there you go. Yeah, beauty.
But yeah,
that's so cool. that sounds like another question that comes to mind about this whole new Zoom practice and getting equipment and learning it and adding that to your entertainment profile for people to be able to access you for various events. Parties, conferences, break time. Let's watch Maura on the big screen, and there you are. I can see all that. So as we get back into what we knew to be normal, which I don't really believe that is true, but let's just say that for the sake of saying it. But when
Mhm.
we are able to go back to these auditoriums and venue spaces to experience your dance, now with this new technology input, Zoom being the most popular of all, and all these other technological competitors coming into the picture, what do you think about adding a hybrid version to your live concerts, meaning now that you have the equipment, have your partner say, okay, set this up, let's stream it for all of our people, our fans, our family, our friends, and be able to let the world
Mhm.
access your shows, even though you're doing maybe a live show in Tulsa at some auditorium or school, but you can
Yeah.
also Zoom it and we can all plug in and see you. What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I'm glad you asked that. There was something that I realized about live streaming um, at the beginning of the pandemic, because there'd be folks that were like, even, pretty well-known folks. And this was before people had gotten the hang of it, but they would be live streaming. And I thought, you know what? This actually isn't a pleasant viewing experience. I would much rather see this pre-recorded and have the lights be nice. Um, and I realized that unless I was doing something very interactive, where I was in the chat and I was, oh, I'm going to respond to what this question is, or I was talking. For dance, I realized that I didn't enjoy a live stream unless it was like super,
Yep.
you had all this equipment and you can make it super well produced, because the viewing experience is just not, it wasn't, I didn't enjoy it. And so I realized that I was more interested in thinking about, okay, we have this box and it's flat. And this, I guess maybe this does go back to visual arts. I'm glad I hadn't even thought about it like that, but it's a chance to, this live versus, you see, I'm in a box. What does this mean to be in a box? You can't do that on a stage. Okay. There's all types of things that you can do in this little box. How can I develop that as something separate? And so I actually prefer to share, when I'm sharing virtually, to have pre-recorded, and maybe then we talk about it afterwards, or there's a class afterwards or something like that. But the actual viewing of the dance to me is much more interesting when it is created specifically for this box and not trying to pretend that we're live. And so when you talk about upcoming, shows, I do think, like, I've thought about, hybrid versions and what that means.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, I've got pieces. And I've also actually, I can't say exactly what I'm working on because we haven't finalized everything, but there's several other teams I'm a part of, and our projects involve film and performance, or they involve performance with video, all these different type of components so that people can view it in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Lots of moving parts to all of it. And it's wonderful that you are um, a leader in thinking. And you're constantly like, okay, how do we put all these moving parts together to have a really nice choreographed show? So what came to my mind as I'm sitting here watching you
Mm.
is, what about doing a dance just with the space that you have right there? Is that humanly possible to do a
Mhm.
dance with this much of your body? Is there
Yes.
something that you could put together, say like, what's the attention span? 30 seconds, 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and just put something together for people.
Yes. One of my favorite dances Victoria Marks. I think she's out of San Francisco, but she got on stage and went. It was like a full, it was like a whole dance with her fingers. It was so captivating, it was so captivating because when you have intent focused, like true intent focused, it draws you in. And so, yes, that's funny you said that. I have some other dancers and I want to choreograph a box dance, but that involves, if you're in that grid format with Zoom, when you reach like this, what does that mean when the other person touches you, and that just these ideas of utilizing the space. And there's something to me also cultural about that, because we know that, spirit, energy, however you would like to call it, doesn't have any time or space. So on one level, we're far away and we feel not connected. On the other level, there is no space. So that to me is very interesting.
Yeah, it's, put creative minds solo or together into this box and see what you can come up with. Is just, it makes it into infinite possibilities. We had a performer couple of months ago, Keith Secola, the guy that wrote Indian Car.
Of course, yes.
And he had this background where it was like he was in the galaxy. So, and he had his headband on, and he's just got that gorgeous face, that stoic face of his. And he had his guitar, and it just looked like he was walking. It looked like he was sitting on planet Earth. And my mom was just like, oh my God, that was so beautiful. And then he changed it and put himself back in the box. And I told him later, I said, Keith, you should have kept that on for my mom. She loved it. Hi, Mom. Anyways, so yeah, thank you for that. That was a nice discussion about that kind of stuff we got to start thinking about, because this is not going to go away. This is a way for people to access, especially for people that can't access and have challenges accessing, to be able to access with this platform. So,
and I just wanted to say one more thing about that. I was on Facebook more. I got off. There's lots of family stuff on Facebook that you want, that if you're trying to run it professionally, you think, oh, maybe I'll get off Facebook. But when I was posting my rehearsal videos, there was this one woman in particular. I want to say she was on Pine Ridge. I'm not sure, Pine Ridge or Cheyenne River, but she was a grandma, and she stayed home and, lived far out. She took care of her grandkids, and she would write me, and she said, I just came across your page. I've never seen dance like this. I feel inspired to move more because of your dance, or somebody else once wrote me that my little videos gave them life, and that person was a single mom living in Arkansas, and both of these people, they had not seen live concert dance or modern dance or hardly just any kind of dance performance. And I thought, well, that's a blessing, because what are we dancing for in the first place, right? It's for me to, bring joy to people, to bring the energy I have been gifted with to other people. And so that made me so happy, that kind of this side effect of me not going tung, 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 all over the place and so busy, was that I could share this way, and people that were never going to set foot, where were we at? Were we in LA before?
We were in LA when we met.
We were. Yes. They're never going to get set foot in, the theater there in LA. They're never going to set foot in the Kennedy Center, and may not have had the interest, but people were able to access our work this way. Yes. So that is something that I thought, oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Beautiful. Well, we've got a chat box. Andrea Otero from the Institute of American Indian Arts, the most amazing instructor you will ever meet in your life. Hey, Andrea, love you. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Her ad to your words is to inspire people to move and find their center through movement is very powerful.
It is. It is. And it's humbling. And you realize the power of our art form and the power, that each of us has, I just think of it as being a conduit, and that's all we need to do is do what our gift is. That's all we need to do.
Right, right. Thank you for that. So if one would, in the dance industry, is it difficult being Indigenous or does it not matter?
So, I was trying to think about that, and I was going to answer. I was like, a few years ago when I was a white woman, I'm just joking. When I was a white woman, so, I have been very lucky. I've been very lucky. I worked a lot in Canada. So I have worked a lot in Canada, and actually, thanks to suggestion from Ruland Tangen. We have a tornado watch here. So if I look outside, it's because there's weird noise. The rain is really hard.
Wow.
Yeah. But, and so I started working in places that were specifically for contemporary Indigenous dance. Okay. They have places like Talking Stick Festival and other theaters and other just venues and a whole ecosystem in Canada for contemporary Indigenous work. And so when I started working there, I realized that I didn't have to feel like what I was creating was not as good or was not as refined. I am so glad that I saw this work, because I was creating work and I felt, oh, this doesn't look like ballet. This work is based in a dance I saw my grandma do in the kitchen and the movements that I know to do when I plant corn. I was like, and this doesn't look like ballet. But being around these other people creating and having their work both in their community and on big stages, and seeing that kind of that was possible, kind of shifted my mind. So I try to present my work and share my work in places where it's appreciated, and so far that's worked. And so I don't know. I don't know exactly how to answer that question, except that Michelle Olson, who is the director of Raven Spirit Dance in Vancouver, who I got to shadow, that's an Indigenous dance company there, and see how she ran her company. But, she said she respected the work and the stories that it was telling, and she makes sure that wherever she presents this work and the places she's sharing and the people that she's working with have that same reverence for the stories. And that has, and I think, did she just have her 15th anniversary, I want to say? So, it has worked for her. And that means that you might not say yes to everything and you're saying no to some things. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So what can you tell an aspiring dancer who wants to become a dancer when they grow up? Or maybe they're already grown up and they want to get into dancing, and maybe they've missed that boat as the big picture, but they just want to dance for their own purposes. Can you give them direction, A, for career, and B, just for the healing that dance allows people to do?
Yeah. Well, I'll say a few things. One thing about dance, I think we all know, if you want to go traditionally, right, this idea that we have an artist, and we're an artist, and is kind of a foreign idea. We live this way now because we have jobs and we have money and work, but really, dance is for everyone. Everyone may not enjoy dancing all day long. Everyone may not want to, make presentations, but uh, dance is part of our way of praying. It's part of our expression as being humans, part of our way of giving thanks. So just about dancing, I think if you want to dance, you should dance. And whether it's in your kitchen or wherever you at. And, I think, I remember somebody was telling me that she wanted to dance more, and she didn't necessarily want to do it in a studio, but she was held back by the thought that it wasn't for her. So it's for everybody. It's not for just some people, it's for everybody. And everyone can have a different, relationship with it, whether you are dancing with your full body, whether you only have movement in your hands or your head,
Yeah.
In terms of, so that's dance, in terms of professionally, if you want it to be your career, there was, I'm forgetting his name. He's really tall and Stewart. If there's anybody from Durham, North Carolina, they probably know who I'm talking about, but he was from the African American Dance Ensemble and Chuck Davis's dance group, and they tour around. And I think it wasn't his master class, and people were saying something like, saying really good things about him, kind of lifting him up. And he said, "Stop it." He said, "Don't put me on a pedestal." He said, and he stopped the whole class. He was like, "Don't put anybody on a pedestal." And that really stuck with me. He was like, "No, we are all learning. We are all growing. Don't put anybody on a pedestal." And I have thought about that. He wasn't saying don't respect people. That's not what he was saying. But this idea that, don't do that.
I hear
yeah, don't do that. And he said, we're all learning and we're all growing and we are all equally powerful. Where we do that and how we do it has to be different. It's not all going to be the same, but don't put anybody on a pedestal. And I think about that a lot still, because I also realized if you're on the pedestal, how boring and lonely is it? You're up there by yourself and you can't learn anything else either. So don't be on a pedestal, don't put other people and don't be there. So that to me was very, very, very profound and useful. I think, so, that, this idea of always being learning and always improving is something, I guess the ideas about how to be a dancer to me are entwined with how to be a good human and how to just get ahead in life in general.
Thank you.
So, always be learning. My father says this saying, you can learn a lot from a fool. So meaning that, whoever it is, even if they're doing wrong, you can learn from them. I take that farther, that if a person, I've learned something from a 5-year-old, right? I've learned something from someone 5, I learned something from 95. So I just think it's important to pay attention and to try to learn and share and learn. So I don't know if that answered your question. If it didn't, ask me again. But
no, this is good. Yeah. It's very free flowing and very spontaneous in a way, with very little planning. We want it to be that way. We want to get the essence of our presenters. So that's what makes this so special. Even when we bring musicians up to sing, we want maybe 2 or 3 songs in this time, but we want mostly to know the person, how they're creating, how they're making their world work, how they're making their business plan, how do they market themselves? I mean, all those questions a lot of people have. When educational institutions give people these options, particularly in an art school, to learn how to be a painter, learn how to be a ceramicist, learn how to be a writer. Okay, well, create the product, but then when you're done with your program, you've got a pile of product, but how do you get it out there? How do you convince people that you're the one they want on their wall, or their time invested in reading your precious time, your life, or whatever?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, those types of things are important for us to talk about as artists. Is it's great to do something, but there's so much more that needs to be learned by doing this. Like what you're doing is just quite amazing. How I would like to know so much more, but we are running out of time. So,
Oh,
did you want to say something?
I just will say, particularly for people of color artists, for IPOC, Indigenous, Black people of color, any people of color artist, I really like, if people have questions, I like to share, because sometimes they're very specific, and it's, they might have a question about a particular grant, or how did you do that? So I'm always open. I think my email is on my website. They can contact me, they can DM me. So I really, people have done that for me. I'm happy to do that for other people. So
Oh my gosh, that just opened up a whole nother question for me, but I'll try to keep it simple and short. Question I have. So, opening up space,
mhm.
abundance,
Mm,
there's room for all.
mm,
Look at the stars at night. That's how
mm,
much room there is for us while we're here in our wetsuits, our bodies. And one day we're going to join all of that.
mm,
And it's so beautiful to think about that. Yet, in the capitalist world, the competition is so tight and
mm,
competitive that people will not share that name, will not share that resource, will not share that doorway. And then over here on this side, there's the people that are saying, here's the list, call these people. I'm going to put in a good word for you. And I want
mm.
you to get into these doorways that'll propel you forward. And have you experienced that in the world of dance? Because I have as a musician, and it's shocking.
It is. I was just thinking, this is something that's been heavily on my mind, especially as women folk, and I include all femmes and two-spirit people, and people who know that they are women. Um, Unfortunately, I think because of colonialism and racism and sexism, like all piled on top, sometimes we may not be supportive of one another, as I see that happens in male world. Will, guys will kind of take each other under their wings,
Hmm.
and I don't see that happen as much, and for all of those reasons. So to me, that's particularly important, for women to help women, and to show other women. I have been very fortunate. I've received help from strangers. Like I had but most of my mentors have been men. They've been men, and so, and I'm not complaining. That's just the way it's
Wonderful.
turned out. But it's not always from expected sources.
Hmm.
It's not. There may be somebody that was supposed to help you, and that person I find to be tight-lipped and not helpful, but then all of a sudden somebody else says, hey, I really like what you're doing, let me talk to you, let's talk, I want to introduce you to blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I have seen it, I've found that to be true, and people are scared to share what they have sometimes, and I understand why. But as you said, it's just a kind of illusion to keep us contained. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Motivation by fear
Mm,
doesn't appeal to me at all. I like to get motivated through fear to overcome fear. And that's the
mm,
fear of the obstacles that are between my ears. A lot of
mhm.
it's conditioning,
Yeah.
and a lot of it sets up internalized roadblocks that I can live in that don't serve. None of this would be happening if I was living in those fears, because I'd be afraid of everybody. Like, oh my God, what if nobody likes this? But
Yeah.
you know what? As we say in Navajo, "Taho jiton."
Mm,
They even have a T-shirt that I purchased once in Shiprock that says "Taho jiton," and that means just do it. Just get out there and do it and see what happens. It's the
Mhm.
action, starts with the thought and the action. So thank you for everything you're doing. The last question I'm going to have for you before I open it up to the audience and see if we have any social media questions or hellos is this year our theme is thriving in purpose. Last year our theme was rising and resilience.
Mm.
So what's your definition of thriving in purpose for you in the going into our second year recovery from COVID with your art?
Yeah. Um, Thriving in purpose. And sometimes I answer questions with what is in my mind, which it might not seem like the answer, but I think I mentioned this before. In our family circle, and that includes blood or not blood, we've lost about 7 folks in the past maybe 3 months.
Ooh.
And besides the grieving, and you grieve for other people, you grieve for people that you love that are hurting, and you grieve yourself. But under that, there is sometimes I'll get the news when I'm so scared about something, so scared about stepping out and doing something different or new. And you get the news of a death and you think, wow, that doesn't matter at all. That fear is so unimportant. And there's one person, Pati Arias, she was a very life-loving, type of person.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, you know what? She's passed on, so she's not going to have a chance to just do it. I said, I'm just going to do it because so she can have a chance too with me to just do it, So thriving to me, I think, is having that connection with ancestor, with future ancestor, with self, with earth, with family, with community, but also understanding that we are surrounded by, as I like that word you use, conditioning, and that sometimes our role is to be that person stories are told about. If you notice all of our stories, the people that they're told about are somebody that didn't quite do whatever the supposed rule was. And so sometimes that's us. Sometimes we are to be that person. So to me, thriving is carrying all of those people and going ahead through the fear, whatever that is, whether it's trying a new mushroom in the store that you're going to cook, or whether it's changing your career, or whether it's standing up to somebody that has been your abuser, whatever that may look like. So many different things, but that to me is what thriving is. Yeah.
That reminds me of the bumper sticker I've seen. Well-behaved women don't go down in history.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear a
That's
Joan of
true.
Arc.
Yeah.
Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah.
These women fought for our right to vote, that they got put in jail and beat up for it. So thank God to them, we get to vote today. So, and all our ancestors, much blessings to all of them.
Yeah.
So, my God, thank you very much. You're so beautiful. I'm so glad that we were able to catch you in your, what I think is a really busy schedule in your life. It seems like it. So thank you for joining us this evening. And all of you out there, thank you for joining us. And now is the time where you can start to turn your cameras on, and make sure you keep your mute buttons on for the voice unless you're speaking. And there's many different ways we can do this. We can do hands, however you want to ask your questions to Maura. The floor is open. We wanted to leave room for those of you who want to give some questions for Maura. And right away, I see David, who's asking a question.
And if you're in our social media, if you want to post a question or a comment, Tasha's going to read while people are putting things up. Here it is.
Okay. Astrid E. Mira Taran Jibaja. But you draw with your body, Maura. Love you.
Thank you, Astrid.
And I love what you just said. And Anna Rondon, woo! Yes. Oh, indigenizing the process. This is from Anna Rondon and Sylvia Fred, Maura Garcia.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God,
Thanks,
Sylvia.
thanks for
Wow.
sharing.
Yay.
Good to see you. It's been a long
Oh,
time.
yes. Oh, wow.
Mona Cliff,
Oh, yay.
Maura Garcia, smile with hearts in the eyes. Love, love,
Oh,
love.
mwah, mwah.
And our chat here, let's see. Astrid says, did you remember the mushrooms you cooked for me, Maura?
Yeah, I think it's maitake, Maitake. I remembered it like the day after. So
Yeah. And then JG Pakutas.
Pakodas, that's my partner. Yes.
Okay, Pakodas, you're so right. This virtual world is vastly different than live performance. Great, great, great points. Ben Alex Dupree was just talking about these close up shots with movement in a very captivating style. I want to learn how to shoot movement in this way.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
And all right, we got to head back into recording. Great, great interview. And Andrea Otera, thank you, Andrea, for being here, IIA professor. I
Yes,
get
that's
how
really
some work does not really work the same way live, and that the little black box has its powers as well to
yes.
inspire people to move and find their center through movement is very powerful. Movement is also an important part of wellness. Would you
Yes.
not say?
Yes. I would definitely say I could talk about that for a long time. Um, yeah, I mean, to me, when you're moving, you have the chance to like process many things. You can process thoughts, you can process pain. So just for the whole purpose of letting go, letting go of things that do not serve you, movement is wonderful. For intention, I mean, a lot of us, we talk with our hands, right? For intention, when you're setting intentions, when you're praying, movement is powerful, you know. Um, I won't talk too much about this. I would love to talk with her more because there's so many things, even about shaking. Like if you are doing shaking movements, that ability to shake up parts in your body that are stagnant so that you can flush out things. It's generally good and specifically good. There's many, many things about movement that, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be moving.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, and then question from David Gomez, question from Maura. Unenrolled tribal status. Are you freedmen descended?
Not that I know of. I'm not a freedman descendant that I know of. Yeah. I think actually that I know, all of our slave holders were white men. Yeah.
Okay, and so that does it for our questions coming in from the social media, and I'd like to pass it over to Mina. Would you like to say anything to Maura this evening?
Hello.
Hi. You know me as Carrie. I have a couple names, but I really enjoyed what you're talking about, and I think that breaking out of this, incorporating what we went through in the past year, and bringing this forward to Zoom, I was thinking of how healing it would be to watch. We need to move, and we're all stuck in front of the computer, doing everything. All my socializing is this. So I'm curious to see what's inside there that you can bring out as a healing element to movement and Zoom, because people get really shy, but they're in their own space too. But I just really appreciate who what you bring to this earth and all the healing qualities that I looked you up while you were talking. So I'm following you now. So thank you so much.
Me too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm speaking about Michelle Olson again. I want to say it was November or December. We had a it was a dance training specifically for Indigenous dancers and choreographers. And there were several of us that taught like a cohort. Well, I won't say taught, we facilitated and also taught, but it was all on Zoom. And there were it was interesting ways how to heal, how to connect with movement on Zoom. And I found that the smaller group was much better because, it gets overwhelming when you have so many. And then some people don't have on cameras and other people are like, well, I have on my camera. Why don't they have on their camera? But if there's 4 of you, you can take turns, you can step away. And I think for the folks that were in it with me, they had this feedback. It's a good way still to connect. And there were some ways that I know we were connecting in Zoom in that small group that actually, if we had been in a class, we might not have had as much talking, which was okay, but it allowed us to go deeper, quicker, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I went to a birthday party and we were dancing at the end, and it was a bit odd, I will say, but it actually felt so happy afterwards, you know. And the people, I could see a couple people on the screen dancing with each other, you know. So there's something that can be discovered here. So yeah, thank you
for that, Carrie. We need to catch up. Anna Rondon says, wow, I needed to hear your words. I'm healing from surgery. You uplifted my heart and mind. Love your circle. Music and the arts is our medicine, flowing so beautiful.
Oh, much love to you. Yes, thank you.
And then Hilda Ritchie, a very dear mate of ours in Wisconsin, and her partner, Hilda Ritchie, says thank you from Wisconsin. And Jody Aranda from Australia is saying hello.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, we have Australia in here tonight. Wow. Thank you, Jody, for joining us.
Amazing.
And I'm going to save the last word for our sister Annette from Albuquerque before I pass it over to Elena for a quick a bit of announcements she needs to make. Hey, Annette,
hi.
What's up?
Nothing. Oh, it's really great. I was just thinking about the movement. You know what? Maybe that's what I need to do. To start moving, and I would like something like that. And I really enjoyed the speaker. Thank you for calling on me. I miss you guys.
Great to see you, Annette.
Great to see you. Yeah, get in your kitchen and start moving tonight when you're making those enchiladas. All right. Okay, I'm going to pass it over. Thank you very much, Maura, and everyone else on the Zoom platform and the social media platforms that have joined us tonight. Elena has some really important information to share with you all. So here's Elena.
Great. Thanks for that. And also thank you, Maura, for blessing us in this incredible circle with your walk that you have done, which is extremely inspiring. And what I really appreciated that you shared is the creativity is still there, the fear of the unknowns, leaping into stuff where you are now residing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So look forward to hearing through the networks all these amazing things that you're going to be getting up to and co-creating with the community. So thanks for blessing us in this circle. And what I wanted to share with you, next week is May. We're almost halfway through our year. Who would have thought? Anyway, we've got amazing people that are coming in through the virtual events. Every Wednesday at this time, 6:00 Mountain Standard Time, we have the Wisdom Circle, and the 3rd of the month, we have the concert series, which is at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But joining us in the circle in 2 Wednesdays' time is Rochelle Edawa-Iska. Her beautiful husband was with us several months ago. They've been on tribal councils doing amazing things in the political field for all of us. They are from the Little Traverse Band.
Of
Of Otawaya India. Odawa Indians tribe. So thanks for that. She'll be joining us in 2 Wednesdays. And then at our concert series, we've got the beautiful Sage Bond, who has this incredible love affair with the guitar. She kind of is unbelievable on the guitar, just shreds the guitar. So she's going to be with us this month as our concert series person. We've also got an elder that will be beaming in from the waters of Australia, from the Waka Waka woman. She is Australian Aboriginal, Joanne Wilmot. She is a mover and shaker in those circles. So she'll be joining us in the Wisdom Circle and sharing what she's been up to and helping all the communities with the extraordinary work that she's been doing.
For decades.
Finishing off the May, we've got Dennis Long. He's this extraordinary deaf Dene artist. His art is weaving. He's a traditional weaver. He's also been our point person when we've been doing the relief runs for the deaf and hard of hearing. So we're very grateful for him because he's borrowed a vehicle to then take all the deliveries out to the deaf and hard of hearing in the Four Corners on the Navajo Nation. So he will be joining us for the end of May. And then we've got the incredible Indigenous Healing Festival that we'll talk more about. But this is who's going to be with us next week. It's the beautiful Wakaya Wells. He is a citizen from the Choctaw Nation. He calls himself a queer writer. He is absolutely extraordinary. So please beam in for Wakaya Wells next week. We are very blessed simply because all of these Indigenous Ways virtual events not only have been free, all of them have ASL interpreters, and we're very grateful to that. And that's because of our sponsors. So our sponsors this time around, we want to acknowledge the Santa Fe Community Foundation, the Native American Advise Fund, New Mexico Arts, and also Westaf, who have been supporting us to make this happen. Also, all our amazing individual donors that have kept us here from the 1st of April last year. And the point of us doing these electronic sacred circles was to keep everyone connected. We have been able to support over 90 Indigenous, Native American, LGBTQIA, and deaf and hard of hearing presenters in the circle. That's thanks to you beaming in. And also we have down the bottom, you'll see all our social media. So if you are watching us through our social media, thanks for that, Mary Sue. Great to see you in our social media at the moment. But if you haven't already liked one or multiple pages, please do so. Above my head is our website, IndigenousWays.org. There you'll be able to see the archive of over 90 artists that we've been able to support, as well as all the incredible things that are coming up and the relief runs that we've been doing throughout this time. If you are able to support, you can. We've got Venmo, we've got PayPal. There's also a link on our website, IndigenousWays.org, where you can go. Or if you're not into any of that, which we rarely get, we've also got snail mail as well. And then lastly, I just mentioned this very briefly. We have the Indigenous Healing Festival that is on Mother's Day weekend, all day Saturday, the 8th, which is from 11 to 5. And then on Sunday, it will be the 9th, which will be from 11 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. We've got this it's all has ASL interpreters. We have 2 deaf and hard of hearing presenters, and we have this amazing smorgasbord of elders, spiritual keepers, wisdom keepers who will be sharing through the circle. So basically, it's like a virtual event, except for an hour. It's going for several hours over the weekend. So if you have not registered at IndigenousWays.org, go to the website. Tickets are limited. We've sold half of them already. Tomorrow we start one of our artists, who is Buffy St. Marie. So all her pictures will be going out through social media. So we expect them to go very, very quickly. So if you have not already registered, do so now at our page. We're really grateful for that. And in saying that, we're also grateful tonight for our ASL interpreters making access available for all. So let's give it up for Sandra, who's with us, and also Chris Esiando, who was our interpreter before.
All right. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. We love you. Our time is up, and we'd love to stay on till midnight, but we want to honor what we're saying, which is 6 to 7 Mountain Standard. So let's go ahead and call it a night, everybody. And for those on Zoom, social media live, and those watching the recording, thank you very much for being with us. And for me, I love our ASL interpreters from the bottom of my heart, center of my soul. We'll see you on Wednesday for Wakaya Wells. Oh my God, he's a wicked Oklahoma Indian, and he is now in Oregon and just had a baby, as a matter of fact. And lastly, let's give it up for Maura Garcia.
Yay!
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful
Right
sister.
on,
Keep
Maura.
dancing. Keep rocking.
Shake it, move it, everyone. Let's be inspired by this amazing
Let's all go dance in our
woman,
kitchens
Maura
tonight while we cook our
Garcia.
dinner. Let's go
Yeah.
dance while we cook our dinner.
Wet your hands, feel my face. Touch the earth, touch the earth, touch the earth. Feel the rain. Touch the earth, touch the earth.